Hey guys, Tarke here, and we're going to be going very slowly and just sort of picking out the key things that happened in the patch notes. I won't be reading out every single thing. I have a Google Doc where I kind of pulled out the key things, and these are actually a pretty tame set, so enjoy the fire. I've got a tea with me, and we'll just kind of go through and I'll pick out things which I think are exciting. So first off, we don't need to know about this. Basically, there's going to be a new challenge league, and they've added a bunch of new gems. We already knew about all of that. We'll get the gem info soon. Got some new catalysts, cool. Got some new sextants, cool. Kind of whatever. Now the big things. So Conquest of the Atlas encounters can now be accessed through a map item. So these are basically itemized now, which is very nice quality of life. So yeah, it's now like you get a map with the Conquer on it. It's cool, right? There's been a couple of changes to Maven Witness, nothing that fancy. They've reduced the chance of certain things to pop up, but that's fine because they've then basically they're making up for getting the Atlas passives. It's all kind of whatever. And Zana is now half as likely to offer unique synthesis maps, which means that if you're doing the whole stacking Zana map thing, if you want synth map, that is the most powerful way of doing that to make up for this massive nerf. Ritual is now part of the core game. It's an 8% base chance to contain rituals. Deferred items will reappear at a higher occurrence rate. Hopefully it is a high occurrence rate. It would suck if ritual feels super rare and you get a really cool item and then it takes like 50 rituals to show up and you're only seeing, you know, a ritual 1 out of every 10 maps or whatever. You get the idea. But we can now force ritual. There are some ritual passives and there are ritual like sextants and so on and so forth. So you can force it if you really want it. Harvest nerfs, we know about this. I'm not going to go through all this again. I agree with these changes for the record. Okay, so they've added a bunch of new sextants. These are basically all just kind of saying we've added some sextants. There's been some stuff you can now corrupt blighted maps, which are pretty neat, but we already knew about that sort of stuff. And blighted maps now apply the map's item quantity mod to the blight chest, so that's pretty good. So you kind of want to roll blighted maps now rather than just doing them all white. Cool. Betrayal changes. Betrayals had some pretty big reworks. The main thing basically is now if a veiled item drops and you unveil it, you'll be offered a like significantly more powerful version than the base standard craft. And once you've unveiled it, it doesn't count as being a crafted mod. That mod is on there forever, and you can then craft on top of that. So expect to be picking up a lot of veiled items for like endgame weapons and using the new veiled orb. I expect veiled crafting to be the main way people make fizz weapons now. Yeah, they've also rebalanced a bunch of stuff to do with the veiled weighting. They've also made it so it's more attractive to kill cash arena, and safe house leaders no longer lose ranks when they're interrogated for mastermind intelligence. This is really nice. This just means that you can force your safe house leader to have high rank and then send them to jail so that you get faster interrogation, so you can spam as many masterminds as possible. This is a very nice change. Betrayal targets now also more likely to drop their signature mods, so stuff like Elrond rings. Cool. There are a bunch of new bestiary recipes. That's very nice. And they've gotten rid of split beast or limited, all that stuff, but we know about that already. You can now upgrade breach stones, which we already knew, but it's nice. They've nerfed a bunch of Cosy jewels, and they've nerfed the quant and rarity of delirium. Fine. Delirium's been rebalanced so that it's more powerful at lower tiers, more rewarding at lower tiers, slightly less rewarding at the extreme high tiers. This is a good change. Essences have been buffed. Heist, it's now easy to level up rogues, whatever. You can now itemize temples, nice, and they've done a bunch of just like generic buffs. These are all good. Not important. Most of these things, they're just not exciting, but basically, these are all good. Right, lab. You can consume an offering to get a random trial. They don't offer a goddess, so you can't just like get one offering and then instantly get your max thing, but still you'll be getting your Uber lab much, much quicker. And you can now pick which enchant you want. Very, very strong. And they got rid of the whole daily lab thing. But yeah, good. General stuff, we already know about nearly all of this from yesterday's thing. There's been some changes to how percentage reservations are done, so you might need to recheck some of your mana cost stuff after that. You can now also reserve auras without having to have that much of the resource available. So for example, if you know, weapons swapped and all your auras turned off, you'll need to get back to full mana to turn your auras back on. Very nice quality of life change. The stats which limit total rate of recovery per second from leech have been changed. I'm not going to explain Life Leech, but this is basically important if you're looking to really scale all of that stuff. There's been some other changes. Call of Steel no longer has a cooldown. Interesting. And character size is capped at 100. Cool. Anger saw a slight buff to spell builds. Nice. Divergent Berserk is pretty dead. Blade Blast got a pretty substantial nerf. They've taken a lot of damage off it, and they've nerfed the damage effectiveness. That being said, I still expect Blade Blast to be absolutely fine. I still expect Blade Blast to be one of the best builds. Blade Vortex has had its duration. This is pretty yikes. It's had its radius hit. This is pretty yikes. It's had its damage effectiveness hit. And it's had its damage hit. Hitting the duration and the radius, this is the thing that really sucks, because that's what makes the build feel good. You can always like outgear damage nerfs. Damage nerfs are kind of whatever. You can always just outgear them or outscale them. But I hate losing duration. The duration, especially, this feels really bad. You're going to have to invest more into duration if you want to play Blade Vortex. I don't think it's dead, though. But yeah, these are the main changes that really hurt. Blade Storm saw a buff, but I don't think you'll be doing Blade Storm. But the fact that you have the option is nice. Flesh and Stone took a pretty heavy hit, going up to 35%. It sucks, but it is what it is. Cold Exposure is now 15 from 25. I like this change a lot. They did the same thing to Wave of Conviction, bringing the exposure down. This is actually a very nice buff to Raider as well. It makes other exposure options more interesting. That makes Raider having global 20 to all elements very, very strong. General's Cry, it purely got hit for channeled skills. This is good. General's Cry will still be very, very strong. Punishment, I call this a buff. Basically, it got rebalanced that low life is now at 15, not 30%. Decisive Cry, I thought they were actually going to hit this harder. It only took a 10%. Went from 20% more from 30. That's completely fine. You can no longer spell sling skills granted by items, and it no longer activates if there are no valid link skills. Seems like it won't affect most people. There's probably like 1 or 2 builds, super niche, that died, so sorry if that was your build. Carrying Golem has gotten hit again. It now has a 6-second from a 4-second cooldown on its Cascade ability, and it has shorter travel distance and less AoE. I wish they would say, but I guess people just have to test it. They can take the damage hit, the 11% less damage is whatever. Depending on how much they nerfed their like slam, that could be the real issue. The cooldown, pretty big. Like there's a pretty big 50% increase in cooldown, and then also nerfing its AoE and its travel distance. That can make it feel very, very bad. This Toxic Rain change I quite like. Basically, the spread range of spore pods is now affected by AoE. So the main way you would scale Toxic Rain outside of increased duration and the generic damage stuff was area, because the more area you had, the more projectiles you could have, the more you could AoE overlap. This will hit the crazy investment Toxic Rain builds, which we're getting like all the additional projectiles, Dying Sun, and all of that stuff. This makes it so there's going to be like hard breakpoints of like you want exactly this much. Going past this point is a damage loss, which was kind of already a thing. But this won't really do anything to affect like base Toxic Rain builds. Like if you're league starting Toxic Rain, your build will feel about the same strength, I would imagine. It's just a case of the super top end has been hit. We don't know how much like the spread is. Like we don't know how extreme the spread will be. If they've gone overboard, then it might kill the ability. But I'm hoping that they haven't gone overboard with the spreading. So yeah, this will be a case of you're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, it won't be also include as much AoE as possible now. It went from a 5%, from a 10% slow, yeah, maximum of 30 from 60. Very big defensive nerf, but it was very, very strong. I think it's fine. It hurts to see, like it's a big change going from 60% to 30% slow, but it was ridiculous how much damage it did and how defensive it was, and the fact it can run all the map mods. Vigilant Strike took a massive hit. Basically, you don't get 100% uptime on Fortified just from having Vigilant Strike in there. Interesting change. I think that the whole Vigilant Strike Fortify thing was pretty boring because it was just an auto-include. I still think Fortify is still an auto-include, and I still think people feel forced to do Fortify builds. I'm expecting to see a lot of champions from the hardcore streamers. I think Fortify just needs a rework, to be honest. Vitality took a pretty heavy hit. It now gives 193 from 247 life. Pretty big. This will still be worth running in some builds. It just won't be an auto-include in like every build with some open mana. Still very good for Mind Over Matter builds because they have very low life generally. Still really good for stuff like Quiz, which like double dip on their life regen from getting it as life and ES recovery. So it appears like I need to throw another log on the fire, so give me a second. No, you let the fire go out. What is wrong with me? A little bit of cardboard, give it a little bit of oomph. That should get it back up. That should hopefully start. Oh yeah, you can see that roaring back up, that one. Wave of Conviction, yeah, they've nerfed the damage a bit. People aren't really doing Wave of Conviction, like just damage builds. And they've lowered the exposures, and I said, good change, I like it. Vol skills. Most of these Vol skill changes are kind of boring. There are some very key, tasty ones. A lot of it is just like they've lowered the cooldown and like buff cast speed or whatever. No longer causes modifiers to buff duration to also apply to this skill's soul gain prevention. This is actually a nerf to some builds. Ignite arc builds with scale through stuff like Swift Affliction, Woke Swift Affliction, and that actually lower the cooldown of your Vol arcs. This is actually a slight nerf with the WAP change, but otherwise it's generally good. Vol BV, like it actually kind of lost damage still, which is ooh. It took some big hits, which I find kind of funny, but it has 2 uses, so it's kind of whatever. Vol Blights are a very slight buff. Vol Blights are already a great skill. All the Chaos builds have run it. Now it's just slightly better because you can press it slightly more often. Vol Burning Arrow now can store an additional use. Has just more uses because it has less soul cost and it has a lower cooldown. So yeah, Vol Burning Arrow got buffed. Vol Cold Snap is a very big winner. It got a massive boost to its damage. 2535, 1502, 1532, 1495. Nice. Nice. Has a bunch of damage effectiveness, has a much bigger radius. Seems like they're trying to like push hit, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like the idea of doing a hit-based cold snap build. I don't really think it's a thing, but the option's there now. Vol Cyclone, it does more damage, which is kind of fun. It has lower attack speed, but you've got better usage, and the main reason you use Vol Cyclone is just to suck things in. So if you're a sucking build, you got buffed. Vol Earthquake, it lasts longer, which is cool. It's got more aftershocks, it's got better damage, better soul gain prevention. So whatever. Vol Fireball, already an amazing ability, just slightly better uptime. Vol Flame Blast, a bit more damage scaling for both the spell damage and the ailments. Much bigger base radius, which is very nice. Loses more radius with each stage, but it's fine because it has way more base. And it had its prevention cut in half. Cool. Ground Slam is a very big winner. You can now exert it, which is huge because you couldn't exert Vol Ground Slam before. It gained a whopping boost to its damage. 400% from 300. It gained additional storage. You can now store 4 from 3. And it had its soul gain prevention cut in half. Ground Slam, big win. Big win. Ice Nova is another very big winner, and Vol Ice Nova was already incredibly strong. It has 762 top end from 428, which is massive. It's got better cast time. It's had its damage effectiveness jumped, like nearly doubled, 120 from 70. And you can store an additional use, and it's had its prevention cut in half. Vol Ice Nova is huge. Ice Nova Frostbolt is a build I always recommend. I particularly recommend it because of this change. Very nice. Vol Lightning Strike's always kind of been a meme. It does a lot more damage now. It lasts for a bit less time, but you get 2 uses. Still a meme. Vol Lightning Traps are a pretty big buff. It got a whopping top end added on. 2057 from 1399. Massive addition to its damage effectiveness. The problem I have with Vol Lightning Trap, and I never really use Vol Lightning Trap in my Lightning Trap builds, is it's more important to have a level 21 Lightning Trap. Getting a level 21 Vol Lightning Trap is quite tricky. If you can get your hands on a level 21 Vol Lightning Trap, then yes, you can weave it into your rotation for a bit more damage. But, I don't know, it's cool. I'm not that excited for it. Vol Rain of Arrows is a very big winner. It now shoots 33 additional arrows from 21, and it fires 4 additional from 3. So he basically shoots a lot more arrows. Val Reeve is a lot better. Reeve is kind of a meme though, so whatever, not a big winner. Righteous Fire, it deals 99% from 180, so it deals less damage. It sacrifices more, well, I guess it sacrifices more life and then it deals less. So actually it deals slightly more damage, but you sacrifice twice as much, which I don't like, and it has less spell damage buff. I really don't like this. Basically, by them making it sacrifice 60% of your total ES and life, they're really trying to make sure that like caster builds don't run this. And yeah, I won't be running Vol Righteous Fire in my caster builds anymore. Vol Power Siphon got a pretty big buff. 25 crit multi from 10, 50 crit multi from 20, and additional use. Vol Power Siphon was already a fun ability. Cool. Vol Spark sadly didn't get, like, Vol Spark having additional uses would have been really fun. Like Vol Power Siphon is a build, and that got like additional uses and like crazy damage buffs, but whatever. Vol Spectral Throw, it's a cool idea. People like it because of Diablo Paladins, but I still think it's kind of not a thing. And Vol Stormcall saw a pretty nice buff. It now does a lot more damage, has better damage effectiveness, and it has better soul game prevention. Cool. Brutality now supports any skill that deals damage, so you can basically use it on Fizz Dots because we've got the new Fizz Dot stuff. It means you can use it with Corrupting Fever. We've got some new nodes added to the skill tree, which seem pretty strong. Relentless and Veteran Soldier, they can give you life per second if you've stunned an enemy recently. Increase Fizz damage every time multiplier, flat life, increase Fizz damage. If you're near them and you're playing a Fizz build, you pick them up. This node is the one that really stands out to me. Vanquisher, it causes you to crush enemies for 4 seconds and you hit them when they're on full life, so slam builds, and grants 40% increased physical damage. Crush is very nice, lowers, basically they take more fizz damage, gives a bunch of damage, really good for slam builds, because slam builds don't want to just like bonk, really good for something like Earthquake. The Red Storm cluster has been removed and replaced with the new Vitality Extraction cluster. It causes you to recover 2% of your life on kill if you spent life recently. Very interesting. Grants 25% increased damage with skills that cost life, and life loss gain a charge every 3 seconds. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. I don't actually know where this is on the skill tree, so let's very quickly edit it into the video by loading up Path of Building. Where the hell is Red Storm? Red Storm. That's not that. There. Interesting. Bit of an awkward part of the skill tree. So it's to try and like promote blood magic builds. Don't know how I feel about that. Recovers 2% of your life. Like, recovering life on kill is very strong. Life loss gain is very strong. Don't know how I feel about that though. Someone knows that the silent location retrieve granted melee fizz are no longer restricted to melee only, so they just give generic fizz damage. Cool. It's a buff. Born to Fight, increased melee fizz damage, increased melee attack speed, and no longer restricted to melee only. Cool. Chainbreaker got killed. Corrupted Soul got nerfed, it's still fine. Hardened Scars got killed. I don't think they should have nerfed it. I think Hardened Scars was niche and fine. The small node and cluster that previously granted cooldown coverage for stance skills now grants 10% reduced reservation for stance skills. That is fine. That is this node here basically gives some reduced reservation, which if you're going to be taking Flesh and Stone anyway, you're in that part of the skill tree, you just pick it up. Yeah, pretty good. Right, they've done some reworks and some buffs and nerfs to Atlas passive, so we're just going to skim through them. They got rid of the Beyond stuff, added Ritual stuff. This one seems kind of cool. It gives you the chance to re-roll 2 additional times and 100% chance to get special rewards. I'm guessing that means stuff like the Ritual specific base. It's like the Crown. The Crown is very strong. Could be an option. Yeah. Could be kind of cool. Clarified the bribery out spells equals 10% more items dropped instead of 2 additional items. This is purely a description change. Kind of cool. Turns end, exotic goods now cause a wider selection of items to drop. I heard that some people were actually using exotic goods to get 6 links at League start. Might actually be worth trying now. It feels like it might be like a sleeper node that people are kind of not going for. So if you plan on doing some turns end, maybe recommend messing around with exotic goods. They hit big game. Big game was really strong. It's had its chance halved. Still going to be very good. And Great Migration now has a 10% chance of areas with iron now to gain additional packs of beasts instead of other monsters, previously 5. Yeah, still fine. They did some harvest stuff. I don't care. Screw it. Now gives plus to maximum all res each of our tax available chests on the area. Strong defensively, which is pretty cool, but most people who are pumping their Atlas are doing it for like gains, not defense. Could be a strategy in hardcore just to make it so that farming that part of the Atlas is just extra safe. It's kind of whatever. I need a drink, sorry, my voice hurts. Buffed Perendus a bit. I'm not sure if Perendus is really going to be a thing. Friends of Family Cause Security off the rest of 3, previously 5. So they buffed the coins, but then like nerfed Kadira. So it's kind of whatever. Now there's a 50% chance areas to contain a rogue metamorph, previously 100%. Oof. Oof. Final Cycles now caused to deal 50% more damage, previously 15. Addition caused measures to have 150% more life. Okay. Time dilation now caused encouraged monsters areas to be at least a magic rarity. Very nice. Incursion artists are going to drop an additional rare incursion item. That bit kind of sucks, but still amazing XP, still amazing loot, so I'm kind of whatever. I think it's still fine. Nerf Delirium a little bit. Nerf Delirium a little bit again. Cultural advance has been removed. Its effect now appears in time dilation. That's the magic thing. Peer Demon has been added. Rare Beyond Demons now have 25% chance to drop an additional basic currency item, previously 35. Got hit a bit. Got moved around. High value target has been added to Glennick. Now grants Legion Surgeons additional 25% chance to hold reward, no longer guaranteed. It's a pretty big hit. You could argue it got hit by a quarter. That fire is really struggling. 50% increased portal beyond rate, merging radius, previously 100. Ooh, they do not like beyond. Face longer grants 100% more time sprinters. Ooh, they hit that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. High value targets being moved to Glennick Khans. Protective battles being added. So just move stuff around a bit. That was a 20% chance for Abyssal Trophies to drop a rare item with an Abyssal socket, previously 10%. Well, that's pretty nice. So they've doubled that. They've removed the eye level increase. Yeah, okay. Sulfite holding monsters spawned by Sulfite are now more dangerous but more rewarding. Interesting. Could be nice. Could be nice. Out of the blue now, there's a 20% chance Sulfite Veins to also contain an equal amount of Azerites, previously 5. That's very nice. That is a very big buff. I like that. Total Anarchy now causes areas to have 10% chance to contain 20 additional. Previously added 1 Rogue Exile per 2 additional content types applied to areas. Kind of fun, just randomly getting 20 additional Rogue Exiles without having to like super juice your maps for a bunch of Rogue Exiles. Unless they're like buffing Rogue Exiles though, who cares? Rogue Trader now has a 50% chance to wild Rogue Exile additional rewards for receive 15. How that now causes to have 200% increased maximum life. If they can make like farming Rogue Exiles a thing and make it rewarding, I would really like that because I just think that'd be fun. I'm gonna throw a log on the fire, see what's going on. I think it's just we didn't give it time to really get going, you know. Also, as I said in my previous video, I am having to make do with random scrap bits of wood I found in the street because I'm broke. Also, hence I was using a fire instead of using, you know, gas and whatever. Is that going to be too big? Got a big one in there. That's what she said, and we'll throw in a little one just to kind of keep the party going. The little one should like the big one. Back into it. Diplomatic. It should pop up in a bit. Diplomatic escort now replaces 1 Harby with a King Harby. Ooh. A King Harby instead of the massive group. Guidance now provides 5 int. from 3. See, I actually quite liked running the Syndicate stuff before in SSF, so they have like crazy buff Syndicate. I'm expecting I want to have most of my Atlas set up for Syndicate and Incursion, because I'm going to try and get the Trap Gloves. Natural Selection no longer makes rare beasts quite as common. Immune response now causes bite ones to 150% faster. Okay. So the now causes Mats fans to have 5% chance from 10. Oof. Now causes breach arrows to open close 2% faster for 100. Now grants 1% chance for synthesis drop. It's quite nice. Hey, it did the thing. Did the thing. They've just had it so it's just generic fizz dot. Cool. Defy Pain is interesting. Gain Defiance for 10 seconds on losing life to an enemy hit, no more than once every 0.3 seconds. 25% increased armor per Defiance. 50% increased maximum total life recovery per second while you have Defiance. At 10 Defiance, take reflected fizz damage equal to maximum life and then lose all Defiance. This is mitigated by your physical damage reduction. If you theoretically had 0 physical damage reduction, then you would die. But the point is, it wants you to scale armor, wants you to have some armor, maybe some endurance charges, basalt, whatever you have to reduce fizz. Gives you this really strong buff effect, and then you take a bunch of damage. It's berserkery. It's whatever. Could be very strong. Don't know how I necessarily feel about it, but sort of fun, I guess. Full Savagery now also works for spells, which is cool. So, more berserker changes. Assassin, Ambush, and Assassinate now gives 50% more damage, previously 25. Low life is now 50% from 30% threshold, so I guess that's fine. Glad is now just 20% generic, so whatever. Primal Aegis now takes 75 damage from 100. Sucks, but it's not that big of a loss. Then goes possible temporary bypass golem limit. Oh, F that build. 4% from 8. Those builds will still be fine. And now they've just added Corrupted Blood because that's now separate to being Bleed. How are we getting on? About halfway through. Oof. Orb of Binding's core drop pool. Who cares? Kind of cool for leveling. Sack Gub gives +1. Nice. Expedited Chest got nerfed. You know about this. This quiver change. So basically, it's just to stop people from doing caster quivers. You still kind of can do caster quiver stuff though, because a quiver still gives like a bunch of life. There's still good just stuff you can get on quivers, like Frenzy on hit, bunch of resistances, speed, AoE, whatever. You can still craft pretty cool spell bows. You will lose some dot, but I can still just see, I can still see SS rank Contagion builds still running a quiver. So yeah. This is mainly a massive nerf to like crit spell builds. Those are the ones that got hit hard. This is just makes it attack rather than global. It's fine. This is just making it again not work for spells. It's fine. You can no longer craft Fizz converted to X damage, which already has modifier of this type present, stopping you from getting full conversion. Whatever. Hurts some builds, but they've been trying to. Whenever there's like easy conversion, they always stomp it out, so it's not surprising, but it sucks. Fizz dot can now be getted. Can now be added as a prefix to wands and staves. Nice. Also now it's wands and staves. You can't get it on bows. F. You can also get it on cobalt jewels. Kind of neat. Eld influence that grants has been removed. Now it has a local poison and a local bleed. We need to see what it actually does because they haven't given us the numbers. Yeah, who cares? Essences got buffed. I'm not going to read through each one, but essences are better now. Cool. Yeah, essences. I liked essences. Essences are still great. Cool. The Abyssal change. I feel like this was a bit of a cop-out. I was expecting like an actual change. Basically, they just took some of the duds, made them slightly less duddy, and they buffed minion ones. Which seems weird to me because like minion builds liked Abyss, and it was kind of like everyone else was like, these used to be really powerful, and then they nerfed them, but minion builds still kind of ran them, and they've just like buffed them for minions. I don't know. I was kind of expecting the like attack ones to go up. So yeah, bit weird. Colossal Jewel. There's some in here that I agree with, some I don't agree with. So new Cosy Jewel stuff to support the life, gives you fizz damage over time if you've spent life, and strength. Cool. Fizz damage over time if you've dealt a crit chance. Cool. They've cut proj speed in half. Oof. They've nerfed the brand 1 by 1%. Who cares? Curse effect by 4%. That hurts. Dot multi's gone from 10 to 8. It's fine. First among equals, 6% effect of auras from 8. Hurts, but it's fine. They've cut the brand attachment range in half. Hurts, but it's not like, it's nothing major there. Dot multi from ailments is 15 from 18. And then it's the crit ailment stuff, which no one was playing. Who cares? Magpie no longer gives area damage, so it's just AoE. I think that's kind of fair. They're kind of like, if you want to do it, you're not getting some damage as well, you know? This has just been changed to be generic for Fizz Dot. 5% chance, still double damage on full life from 6. Yep, it's fine. Doesn't really matter. 6 from 8 is fine. 8 from 10 is fine. Like, there are lots of small nerfs because it's the whole thing is they're not trying to stop you from using them completely. They just don't want you to get like 20 of them, and then it's like ridiculous. 15% aura effect from 20. This is a pretty big jump because that's a 5% aura effect nerf, and then you have like 4 of these in your build. Then you lost a whole jewel. Like, that's quite a big deal. 20 proj speed from 30. They nerfed the trap one. Like, why? It was such a... Like, the trap clusters aren't that great. Like, a lot of trap builds will run, like, 1 medium and a small. You're not really seeing that many trap builds which are going, like, oh, gotta get all the clusters. Especially since, like, the main trap builds were abusing the berserk stuff. And if they were explosive trap, they're using signal fire and the bows. So it's just kind of like, why did you hit this one? But if you're like, but mines are broken, then this is why I don't like traps and mines being grouped together, because traps get dicked by mines. I don't know. Cluster Jewel now gives 10% skill effect duration from 20. That's a pretty big hit. That hurts, like, quite a lot. Cluster Jewel now gives 3% AoE per charge, up to a maximum of 50. Previously it was uncapped. You know, 50% AoE, it's pretty good. It being uncapped seems like it could be abusable. 50% from 20, some of the aura effect stuff. Wicked Pal, lost a little bit of damage, who cares? They cut skill effect duration in half. Ouch. Ouch. This sort of stuff is what like really kind of hits Toxic Rain, is like losing the AoE. Oh well, who cares? But then losing like all your skill effect duration scaling. That's when it kind of starts to be like, ooh, maybe this is a yikers. So yeah. Changed some oils, cool. And they've changed some of the crafts. Most of the crafts are better now. The main thing, which kind of hurts a little bit, is dot builds lost 5 multi, but it's not the end of the world. Doesn't really matter that much. Attribute stacking is better. Max life with the mana regen, better. Better mana life regen. Better brand attachment range. They hit the mana cost. That one hurts. The main one that really matters in here, Trigger. Trigger's now an 8-second cooldown from a 4. I'm surprised they didn't mention this in the manifesto, because this is a big change. I like it though. Trigger Sucker Spell was way too dominant. It's still like the best thing in the game, but now it's not the best thing in the game for every single ability. Yeah. And they hit Fortify, Effect, or Focus by 30%. Pretty big hit to the champion Fortify stuff, but not really. Like, it hurts for I press the button and I face tank the slam ability, but you can still press the button and face tank the slam ability. So, like, Death's Oath. Gained a bunch of base damage. Death's Oath players are happy by that. Very nice. The Law of the Wild's Claw is still trash. Don't use it. Infernal Mantle. It now calls you to take 50% increased spell damage on low life from 25. Still trash. I won't use it. Gluttony Belt now has a level requirement. Okay. Null's Inclination can now causes minion spells triggered by it to have a 0.25 second cooldown with 5 uses. Previously had no cooldown. Minions now deal 1% increased damage per 5 decks. Previously 10. Existing items will be updated to the new version. So basically minions will do more damage, and they've added a bit of a cooldown in there to try and stop like it. They probably know of some like weird fringe stuff. Cool. Now his flame got buffed. Still kind of whatever. Replica Last Resort now gives 25% increased attack speed on my life, previously 50. Ouch. I don't think Replica Last Resort was going to break the meta. I would have kind of just let people have their fun. Brand Surge still doesn't seem great to me. They've added an additional variant of Vessel Vink Touch, which is kind of fun, which gives increased effective shock and causes shock prolif. Fun. I like that. Damage conversion now causes 50% of fizz from 20. Cool. Basically just buffed Vink tiles across the board, basically. We know about Vigil. Iziri's Reign, we know about already. Rigwell's Kills, we already know about. Signal Fire, we already know about. So, some cool things, mostly kind of whatever. These are nice, though. So, the Incursion Changes. Apex Slumber is on a better base type. Nice. Gives a lot more chaos damage. Causes you to regenerate a lot more energy shield with a much higher cap. Very, very good. Cow's Chain now calls you count as on full life while you are cast with vulnerability. Very interested being on full life. So this means you could do some funky shenanigans. I'm not seeing it, but I like it. Also, the base idea with these is not to like make these better than the upgraded version, to kind of make the upgraded version feel like a side grade, where it's kind of like, which one do I use rather than I always upgrade, which I like. I think that's a fun way of going about it. It's also very nice for SSF, because it's very hard to upgrade these in SSF, so making the base items more desirable. And Master Spirit Drinker is on a better base, gives more ES, more life. Just made it more usable. Cool. Dance of the Offered, it's on a better base. It no longer causes you to lose mana. And it gives you Agnostic. Very nice. Very nice change. I could definitely see people using this. Like, this is big. Very big. Story of the Val. It's on a better base. No longer has life gain on kill. Now causes enemies with this weapon to freeze and shock, because they're dealing a lot more damage. Basically, you'll freeze and you'll shock a lot better. And it causes ignites to a lot more damage. So maybe you'd actually be able to do some pretty cool prolify ignite builds or something. Don't know. Sack Cut no longer causes power charge when you use a Val skill. You now gain up to maximum power charges when you use a Val skill. Neat. Architect's Hand. This one I've ummed and I've ahed about. We need to know the numbers on this. This is maybe good. Maybe. So it's on a better base. It gives more evasion, energy shield. Still not like a meaningful amount. It no longer has skills have AoE. You still have the cast speed to trap throwing speed scaling. It now has 6% chance to throw up to 4 additional traps. It says up to 4 additional. What does that mean? Is there an equal weighting? 1, 2, 3, 4? Because if it was just a 6% chance to throw 4 additional traps, you could be like, okay, that's cool. It's like 24% more damage. Neat. But then it's like, wait, up to. So, then what? If they're equal weighted, it's one thing. If the lower numbers are more likely to happen, it's another thing. Usable. It is usable. I think life tap's going to be very strong. I think you could use these gloves for the trap throwing speed scaling, and then use life trap if you want the blood magic effect for your traps. Kind of cool. Final boss of each act have had their drops reworked. They now drop both more and better items. Very neat. Could lead to some bot shenanigan, but GG seems to be pretty good at stamping out on bots, or at least that's what I hear from all the Trade League players. So, cool. I like this a lot. Base size of Harvest has been reduced. Stop detonate dead builds. It's kind of whatever. Allies cannot die aura has been removed. Massive. Woohoo! New aura, Benevolent Guardian. What this does is it causes the immunity buff to apply to nearby allies for a duration. If the enemy that gave the buff is killed, it all goes away completely. So basically what this does is you're like, but it's the same thing. Well, no, because allies cannot die is always active. Well, instead, if you've got good enough off screen, you could like kill the enemy before they get a chance to activate the aura, and it won't be 100% uptime on the aura, which means that you're not going to get like as extreme lag cases. So basically GGG got to be like, look, we want to keep the effect because it's cool, or they think it is anyway, but lag, so this is like the workaround. Yeah, it's progress. Cirrus Rares have had their stuff slowed. Noise. Hungering Flame only uses the ultimate Molten Strike. That was super rippy. Scratchy nose. Or what do you call science people? What do you call that? Itchy. Yeah. Upper lip nose bit. Cool. Vol Pyramid and Arcade had their health increased. They were just like left behind for some reason. The map mods. Fortune Favors the Brave. Noise. Essence. I like Essence a lot. Breach. Breach can be pretty cool, especially if you're speccing into it. Bloodlines. It's always strong. Ambush. Always decent. Harby. Meh. If you're trying to farm Exalts and SSF, can be pretty good. Heist. Very interesting. 2 additional Smuggler's Caches. People be like, ugh, why would you ever do that? I think that actually might be really good, especially in SSF when it comes to trying to get the blueprints for like replica items and like alternate skill gems. Could be very strong. And Harvest is on there. So if you're a Harvest boy, you can harvest to your heart's content. Sort of. Some UI improvements. Lit. Filters for influence items can be found under the pseudo stat on the trade website. Has influence. Cool. They've added a bunch of new gems to the table. PvP, bug fixes. Overall, not the most exciting. Mostly because we already knew about all of these like quality of life things. If we didn't know about all the quality of life stuff, I'd be a lot more excited by these patch notes. But because we already knew about most of these, it feels kind of whatever. I think the big winners from the patch are Vol, the good Vol skills that I mentioned. Vol Ice Nova, Vol Grand Slam. I don't know. There's some pretty cool stuff in here. I think overall this is a good set of changes. Some of the clusters seem a bit weird. The trap one especially. Caustic Arrow survived. Hey, hee-hoo. I'm always happy when Caustic Arrow doesn't get killed. When I heard they were going for Toxic Rain, I will admit I was a bit like, oh, what if they go for Caustic Arrow? Oh, yeah. But yes, I know what I'm going to be league starting based on these changes. Point if you can guess what it is. It's a Raider. Work out the rest. But yes, I'm Tarke. Have a good day. My voice hurts. Fire. By the way.